I felt my stomach twist the moment I saw my cousin Kelly's Instagram story. There she was, sipping champagne in first class on her flight to Paris, wearing expensive sunglasses and flashing that smug grin. It was the same day I discovered that every dollar I'd saved for my 7-year-old son Koa's leg surgery had vanished from my bank account. $12,000, gone in the blink of an eye. My head spun as I flipped through Kelly's Instagram posts. First the airport lounge, then a glass of champagne, then a selfie in front of the Eiffel Tower. Each post hit me like a punch to the gut because I knew exactly where she got the money for her dream vacation, from Koa's surgery fund. Koa was born with a condition that affects his walking. It's not life-threatening, but it means he can't run or play like other kids. The doctor said a corrective surgery could help him walk normally, maybe even run around with his friends. I'd been saving for 2 years, working extra shifts at the factory, skipping holidays, just so my little boy could have a shot at a normal childhood. And now, in one horrifying moment, all that money was gone. Kelly had been staying with my sister Violet for a few months, claiming she lost her job and needed a temporary place. She showed up at my house often, bringing Koa small gifts and talking nonstop about his surgery date. At the time, I thought she was being supportive, taking a genuine interest in Koa's well-being. Little did I know she was gathering all the information she needed to wipe out my bank account. One afternoon, Kelly asked if she could borrow my laptop to apply for jobs. I obliged, no questions asked. Looking back, that was my first big mistake. She'd ask which bank I used and how much more I needed to reach my goal. I shrugged off her nosy questions, thinking she was just curious. It never crossed my mind that my own cousin would steal from me. When I finally pieced it together, my heart sank. She'd used my login information right under my nose. Violet, horrified, said Kelly had told her a totally different story, claiming she'd saved up for Paris on her own. That's when we realized Kelly had been playing both of us. When I saw my bank balance at zero, it felt like a physical blow. The bank confirmed several transfers were made to a new account under my login. Each transfer was a few $100s, maybe to avoid looking suspicious. I called Kelly dozens of times, but she never picked up. Meanwhile, her social media showed her strutting through Paris as if she'd hit the jackpot. I'd never felt so betrayed. My biggest dread, though, was telling Koa. At 7 years old, he was counting down the days to his surgery. He'd drawn pictures of himself running around with friends, jumping on trampolines and climbing trees, things he couldn't do before. Now I had to explain that his dream would be postponed indefinitely because of his own cousin. That night, I found him sitting on his bed, marking off another day on his homemade countdown calendar. When I gently told him we'd have to wait longer, he looked confused. "Is it 'cause Cousin Kelly needed it more than me?" he asked in a small voice. I felt tears burning behind my eyes, furious at Kelly for putting me in this position. But I had to stay strong for Koa. I tried calling Kelly again. Nothing. Each hour, her Instagram brimmed with photos of French cafes and designer shops. Desperate, I rushed to the bank, praying they could reverse the unauthorized transfers. They explained it would be difficult since it appeared I had made them myself. They advised me to contact the authorities, which was my next step. When Kelly finally texted back, she brushed off my anger, saying Koa would be fine and I could save again. I was livid. She acted like my son's future was a minor inconvenience. My sister Violet stood by me, reminding me to keep screenshots of every post and message. We both knew I'd need all the evidence if we went to court, but my main concern was Koa, who kept asking if he'd ever get his surgery at all. Just when I thought Kelly couldn't get any lower, Violet discovered a fake online fundraiser in my name. It used Koa's story and photos, claiming we needed $15,000 for his emergency operation. Donations poured in, straight to Kelly. When the page vanished, donors attacked me, believing I'd scammed them. I filed a complaint with the platform and informed the police, but there were no guarantees. Kelly had staged the perfect con, vanishing with the money before anyone realized what happened. Now I was not only missing my savings, I also had a tarnished reputation with a bunch of angry strangers. Kelly's parents, my aunt and uncle, called me in a panic. They insisted Kelly was going through a rough patch and would eventually pay me back. Some relatives begged me not to involve the police, fearing it would ruin her future. Others called me to say how disgusted they were by her betrayal, but didn't want to get in the middle of family drama. Violet and I stood firm. This wasn't a small dispute or misunderstanding. Kelly had stolen my child's chance to walk normally. I was furious that anyone would pressure me to let it slide. If the roles were reversed, would they tell me to shrug off $12,000 in months of Koa's recovery time? Bright and early, I marched into the police station with a folder full of evidence. Bank statements, text messages, screenshots, you name it. The officer listened to my story with sympathy, but he warned me that cases involving family theft often end up as civil disputes. Regardless, he took down my statement and opened a file. That evening, I sat down with Koa and tried to keep my emotions in check. He noticed I was tired and asked if Kelly had apologized yet. I shook my head, forcing a smile. "We'll figure something out," I told him. "I promise I won't let this stop you from getting the help you need." Canceling Koa's surgery date was gut-wrenching. We lost our spot on the hospital's schedule, and they couldn't guarantee when the next opening would be. Koa tried to be brave, saying, "It's okay, Dad," but I could tell he was disappointed. He'd been counting on this for over a year. Meanwhile, Kelly's posts continued to flaunt her Paris escapade, designer bags, rooftop views, and fancy dinners. It was as if she was rubbing it in my face. Violet urged me to keep saving every photo for evidence, but each screenshot felt like pouring salt on an open wound. When Kelly returned, she threw a Parisian dinner party at her parents' house and brazenly invited me and Koa. I refused, but Violet went, phone in hand, ready to record. Kelly boasted about her trip, showing off luxurious items and videos from cafes. At one point, a clip played where she joked, "Shout out to my cousin's surgery fund for making this possible." Violet discreetly filmed. Kelly noticed and tried to snatch her phone, yelling that it was a private affair. The party erupted in chaos. Her parents looked mortified, while guests whispered about what they'd witnessed. That video would later prove invaluable, showing Kelly openly bragging about stealing my money. Soon after the dinner party, Violet discovered Kelly had landed a new job as a financial coordinator at a local company. Ironic, right? The job description specifically mentioned ethical standards and confidentiality. Without hesitation, I emailed the hiring manager all the screenshots of Kelly bragging about her Paris trip funded by my savings, plus the details of the fake fundraiser. The company rescinded her job offer within hours. Furious, Kelly showed up at my house, pounding on the door and shouting that I'd destroyed her career. Koa cowered in his room, and I called the police, who told her to leave or face trespassing charges. She stormed off, hurling curses at me. By then, more donors from the fake fundraiser had come forward, demanding refunds or explanations. Some apologized to me, realizing I wasn't behind it. Others still harbored doubt. A local newspaper wrote an article warning people about fraudulent online campaigns. Kelly tried to spin the story, claiming she'd always intended to give me the fundraiser money, but the bank records showed otherwise. Every cent had been spent on her Paris adventure or paying off her credit card bills. The police still insisted it might remain a civil matter, but at least I had proof I wasn't the fraudster. At a family dinner, without Kelly present, her parents admitted they felt helpless. They'd confronted Kelly after seeing the dinner party video. She'd sobbed about mental health and job stress, but they saw through her lies. My grandfather, usually the peacemaker, declared, "I don't care if you're stressed, you stole from your own family." Kelly tried to show up mid-dinner to plead her case, but her dad sent her away, telling her that until she made full amends, she wasn't welcome. The family was torn between sympathy for her and outrage at her actions. In the days following, we uncovered more of Kelly's secrets. She'd maxed out multiple credit cards, borrowed money from distant relatives, and even lied about how she lost her previous job. She hadn't been laid off, she'd been fired for tampering with financial accounts. Her parents finally took control of her finances, forcing her to sell the designer bags and outfits she flaunted on social media. Kelly posted a tearful rant about losing everything, acting like she was the victim. Meanwhile, the rest of the family refused to lend her a penny. They'd seen enough. Kelly's meltdown reached a boiling point when she started posting on Instagram Live, accusing me of faking Koa's condition and Violet of being a thief. She claimed her parents were abusive for selling her possessions. The comments section exploded with people calling her out. Even her old friends turned on her, shocked by her blatant lies. She ended the live stream announcing she was done with all of us and might leave town. But less than an hour later, she posted again, asking if anyone had a couch she could crash on because her parents had locked her out. Amid the chaos, good people emerged. Friends, neighbors, and strangers who heard the story offered to help Koa. A few donated small amounts directly to me or the hospital. One kind family insisted on paying for part of the surgery deposit. With their help, and the partial repayments Kelly's parents had started making, we managed to secure a new date for Koa's operation. He jumped for joy when I told him. He grabbed his homemade calendar and began marking down the days again. Seeing his renewed excitement was a balm on my weary soul. Remember the financial coordinator position Kelly lost? The company posted it again, and Violet decided to apply. Her background in accounting and her stellar references impressed them. She got the job a week later. When Kelly found out, she stormed into the office, screaming that Violet had stolen her chance. Security escorted her out, issuing a trespassing warning. Violet felt a bit shaken, but also relieved to see karma come full circle. The people Kelly scammed through the fake fundraiser formed a small online group to compare stories. They discovered that every excuse she gave them was contradictory. Some demanded legal action, others wrote it off as a lesson learned. Kelly tried claiming she'd intended to forward the funds to me, but her lavish Paris posts told another story. My phone kept buzzing with messages, some supportive, some angry from folks who still weren't sure what had happened. I did my best to clear my name, pointing them toward the police report and the evidence I had. With enough evidence to prove Kelly's theft, fraud, and online fundraising scam, my lawyer advised me to move forward with a civil suit. Kelly's parents pleaded with me to settle, offering monthly payments that would take years to finish. I refused. Koa had already waited far too long for his surgery. Feeling cornered, Kelly tried apologizing through text, claiming mental health issues drove her actions. But then she'd post online about being a victim of toxic family members. It was impossible to tell what she really felt. Eventually, Kelly's parents brought me a sizable check, enough to cover the rest of Koa's surgery costs. They'd sold her remaining luxury items and dipped into their savings, apologizing for letting her behavior go unchecked for so long. Some family members breathed a sigh of relief, hoping the worst was over. That night, Kelly bombarded everyone's phones with messages, crying, threatening, then apologizing again. I ignored her. I was too busy focusing on Koa's future. We scheduled his surgery, and I couldn't wait to see him take those first steps without pain. A week later, Koa finally got his surgery. Holding his hand in the hospital, I felt a rush of gratitude. When he woke up, drowsy from anesthesia, he gave me the tiniest smile. The doctor said it went well, and with physical therapy, Koa could be running alongside his friends before long. Recovery was slow, but each day brought visible improvement. He started walking with less of a limp, and I teared up whenever he managed a few steps more than before. Kelly was still spinning out, living who knows where, but I didn't care. My only focus was Koa's healing. If you found this story meaningful or you want to keep up with Koa's journey, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your engagement helps more people hear about our experience and reminds them that even the darkest family betrayals can lead to hard-won justice.